Events in history on July 15th. 971. According to legend, English Saint Swithin is reburied inside Winchester Cathedral against his wishes, whereby a terrible storm proceeds to rain for 40 days and nights. 1099. City of Jerusalem is captured and plundered by Christian forces during the First Crusade. 1205. Pope Innocent III states Jews are doomed to perpetual servitude and subjugation due to crucifixion of Jesus. 1207. King John of England expels Canterbury monks for supporting Archbishop of Canterbury Stephen Langton. 1240. A Novgorodian army led by Alexander Nevsky defeats the Swedes in the Battle of the Neva. 1307. Duke Henrik of Carinthia chosen as King of Bohemia. 1381. John Ball, a leader in the Peasants' Revolt, is hung, drawn and quartered in the presence of Richard II of England. 1410. Battle of Grunwald, First Battle of Tannenberg, Battle of Zalgiris, one of medieval Europe's largest battles during Poland-Lithuanian-Teutonic War. Polish King Władys Wajegu and Lithuanian Grand Duke Vytautas defeat Teutonic Ulrich von Jungingen. 1500. Albert III, Duke of Saxony, defeats the Frisian Rebellion. Baglioni family massacre at the blood wedding of Astori Baglioni and Lavinia Colonna in Perugia. 1501. Portuguese explorer Pedro Cabral arrives back in Lisbon after successfully discovering Brazil and returning from India. 1524. Emperor Charles I bans German National Synod. 1662. King Charles II charters Royal Society in London. 1741. Alexei Chirikov sights land in southeast Alaska. He sends men ashore in a longboat, making them the first Europeans to visit Alaska. 1755. French ambassador recalled from London. 1779. American troops under General Owain conquer Fort Stony Point, Nye. 1783. World's first steamboat, the Pyroscaphe, built by Claude François Dorothy, Marquis de Geoffroy d'Abens, makes its first voyage on the River Seine in France. 1787. Parliament of Paris banished to Troyes. 1789. Gilbert du Motier, Marquis de Lafayette, is named by acclamation Colonel General of the new National Guard of Paris. 1799. The Rosetta Stone is found in the Egyptian village of Rosetta by French Captain Pierre-François Bouchard during Napoleon's Egyptian campaign. 1806. Zebulon Pike begins his journey to explore the American Southwest. 1808. French Marshal Joachim Murat becomes King of Naples. 1815. Napoleon surrenders to Captain Frederick Maitland of HMS Bellerophon at Rockford after his earlier defeat at the Battle of Waterloo. 1823. A fire destroys the ancient Basilica of St. Paul outside the walls in Rome. 1830. Indian tribes, Sioux, Sauk, and Fox, sign Fourth Treaty of Prairie du Chien, giving the U.S. most of Minnesota, Iowa, and Missouri. 1840. Great Britain, Russia, Austria, and Prussia signed Quadruple Alliance. 1850. John Whiston bowls all 10 South batsmen North v South at Lord's. 1856. Natal forms as a British colony separate from Cape Colony. 1862. CSS Arkansas versus USS Carondelet and Queen of the West engage at Yazoo River. 1863. President Davis orders service duty for Confederate Army. 1864. Troop train loaded with Confederate prisoners collided with a coal train, killing 65 and injuring 109 of 955 aboard. 1867. San Francisco Merchants Exchange opens. 1869. Margarine is patented by Hippolyte Megamaures for use by French Navy. 1870. Manitoba becomes the 5th Canadian province, and the Northwest Territories are created and transferred to Canada by the Hudson's Bay Company. The last Confederate state, Georgia, is readmitted to the United States. 1888. Bandai volcano, Japan erupts for first time in 1,000 years. 1898. Camillo Golgi discovers the Golgi apparatus, a delicate network inside cells essential for the transmission and reception of information between cells. 1900. President Stein a General de la Escape brand water basin. 1904. First Buddhist temple in U.S. forms, Los Angeles. 1906. Republic Museum opens Rembrandt Hall in Amsterdam. 1911. 46 inches of rain beginning 7/14 falls in Baguio, Philippines. 1912. British National Health Insurance Act goes into effect. 1914. Mexican President Huerta flees with 2 million pesos to Europe. 1915. The Austro-German forces launch an offensive along the Eastern Front. The head of German propaganda in the U.S., Dr. Heinrich Albert, loses his briefcase on a New York City subway. An examination of its content reveals extensive network of German espionage and subversion across the U.S. 1916. 22.22 56.4 centimeters of rain falls in Altipass, NC state record. Boeing Company Pacific Aero formed by William Boeing in Seattle, Washington. 1918. World War I, Second Battle of Marne begins. 1920. Ruth ties his record of 29 H'ers in a season. 1922. First duck-billed platypus publicly exhibited in U.S. at Bronx Zoological Park, New York City. 1923. Italian Parliament accepts new constitution. 1926. VPRO, Free Thinking Protestant Radio Broadcast forms. 1927. Massacre in Vienna. 89 protesters are killed by the Austrian police. 1929. First airport hotel opens at Oakland, California. 1932. U.S. President Herbert Hoover cuts own salary 15%. 1933. Wiley Post begins first solo flight around the world, takes 7D and 19 hours. 1934. Continental Airlines commences operations. 1936. Dutch second chamber agree to temporarily increase defense budget. 1937. Buchenwald concentration camp opens. Japanese attack Marco Polo Bridge, invade China. 1939. Clara Adams NYC is first woman to complete round world flight. 1940. Nazi occupiers seize library of IISG Amsterdam. Physicist Donald Kirst becomes the first person to accelerate electrons using electromagnetic induction, reaching energies of 2.3 MeV, when his Betatron device for particle acceleration becomes operational in Urbana, Illinois. 1941. Britain's MOD report, edited by physicist James Chadwick, approved, concludes an atomic bomb is feasible. Howard Florey and Norman Heatley present freeze-dried mold cultures penicillin. 1942. First deportation camp at Westerbork, Jews sent to Auschwitz. Dutch Jews invoked for labor camps. 1944. Greenwich Royal Observatory in London damaged by WW to flying bomb. 1946. British North Borneo Company transfers its rights to modern-day Sabah to the British Crown. 1948. Alcoholic Anonymous founded in Britain. Israel bombs Cairo during Arab-Israeli War. U.S. President Harry Truman nominated for his first full term at Democratic Convention Philadelphia Convention Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 1952. First transatlantic helicopter flight begins. 1953. ANC members Walter Sisulu and Duma Nak leave South Africa and go overseas under false names. 1954. 110 degrees Fahrenheit, 43 degrees Celsius at Balcony Falls, Virginia state record. First commercial jet transport plane built in U.S. tested Boeing 707. 1955. 18 Nobel laureates signed the Maynow Declaration against nuclear weapons, later co-signed by 30 for more laureates. 1956. Iharos runs world record 10K 28 to 42.8. 1957. Dutch super constellation crashes near New Guinea, 56 die. U.S. performs nuclear test at Nevada test site. 1958. President Eisenhower sends U.S. troops to Lebanon. They stay 3 months. 1959. The U.S. steel strike of 1959 begins, leading to significant importation of foreign steel for the first time in United States history. 1960. UN troops arrive in Congo to help deal with the political crisis after Moise Kappende Cham's declaration of independence for Katanga province. 1961. Spain accepts equal rights for men and women. 1962. Algeria becomes member of Arab League. Netherlands and Indonesia reach agreement over New Guinea. 1964. Barry M. Goldwater Senar as nominated for president by Republicans. 1965. Mariner sends back first pictures of Mars. Athanasiades Novas succeeds Papandreou as Premier of Greece. 1967. LA Wolves beat Washington Whips 6-5 in OT to be United Soccer Association champions. USSR performs 23-kiloton nuclear test at Eastern Kazakh, Semipalatinsk, USSR. 1968. Commercial air travel begins between US and USSR. France performs nuclear test at Mururoa Atoll. NJ Americans move to Comac and become NY Netsaba. 1971. U.S. President Richard Nixon announces he will visit the People's Republic of China. 1974. Military coup on Cyprus. Archbishop President Makarios flees. 1975. Soyuz 19 and Apollo 18 launched, will rendezvous 2 days later. 1976. 36-hour kidnap of 26 school children and their bus driver in California. 1979. Morarji Desai resigns as Premier of India. 1980. Billy Carter, the brother of U.S. President Jimmy Carter, registers as a foreign agent of the Libyan government after it was revealed they paid him hundreds of thousands of dollars. 1982. Body of Wendy Caulfield, first Green River victim, found near Seattle. Columbia flies to Kennedy Space Center via Dias AFB, Texas. Senate confirms George P. Schultz as U.S. 60th Secretary of State by vote of 9-7-0. 1983. 8 killed, 50 for wounded by Armenian extremists bomb at Orly, France. 1987. John Poindexter testifies at Iran-Contra hearings. State of siege ends in Taiwan. 1991. France performs nuclear test at Mururoa Atoll. U.S. troops leave northern Iraq. 1992. Pope John Paul II hospitalized for 3 weeks to have tumor removed. The Security Council of the UN examined violence in South Africa. 1994. Gyula Horn sworn in as Premier of Hungary. Hundreds of thousands of Hutus flee to Zaire and the Congo, near the end of the Rwandan genocide. Israel and Jordan agree to talks in Washington, D.C. on July 25th. Sonia O'Sullivan runs 3K 8 minutes 21 seconds and 64 milliseconds. 1995. Northern Virginia begins using new area code 540. 1996. A Belgian Air Force C-130 Hercules, carrying the Royal Netherlands Army Marching Band, crashes on landing at Eindhoven Airport. Southern Mexico hit with 6.5 earthquake. 1998. Donatella Versace launches her first couture collection for her brother's Versace label a year after his murder. 1999. Scientists uncover possible reason for SS Waratah's disappearance. 100 years later, the SS Waratah was a luxury steamer which did not reach its destination in 1909, and no trace of the wreckage was ever found. 2002. American Taliban John Walker Lind pleads guilty to supplying aid to the enemy and to possession of explosives during the commission of a felony. APJ Abdul Kalam is elected 11th President of India. Results announced the 18th of July. Anti-Terrorism Court of Pakistan hands down the death sentence to British-born Ahmed Omar Saeed Sheikh, and life terms to 3 others suspected of murdering Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl. 2003. AOL Time Warner disbands Netscape Communications Corporation. The Mozilla Foundation is established on the same day. 2009. A 7.9 magnitude earthquake registers 160 kilometers west of Invercargill, New Zealand, creating a small tsunami. 2012. 39 pilgrims are killed in a bus crash in Parasi, Nepal. A Russian Soyuz rocket with an international team launches for a mission to the International Space Station. 2013. 13 people are killed by a car bomb in Diratia, Syria. 2014. 20 people are killed and 100 are injured after a train derails in Moscow. Israel announces it has officially voted to accept the ceasefire proposed by Egypt. Hamas reject, saying they were not consulted. 2016. Attempted military coup in Turkey fails, nearly 300 killed, 6,000 then arrested. 2017. Australian Justine Damon killed by Minneapolis police officer after calling 911 for a disturbance. 2018. 8-year-old girl finds pre-Viking era sword in Vidastern Lake. Sweden, internet proclaims her Queen of Sweden. 2020. Heavy monsoon flooding in Indian northeastern state of Assam affects more than 2 million people, kills more than 50. 2021. Devastating floods linked to climate change sweep through towns in western Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands after record rainfall, killing at least 188 people.